This is Tech Tuesday, where we shine the spotlight on a trending theme in the world of technology and gain a better understanding of where trends are leading in the world of tech investment. This is Tech Tuesday, presented by the Canadian Securities Exchange. Thank you to everyone online for joining us live this week for today's edition of Tech Tuesday. Today's session, Payments and Transactions. Presented by the Canadian Securities Exchange, we're pleased to have three companies. Alexandre Décarie, President and Co-founder, FirstPayment Inc. Gary Ziegler, Founder and CEO of eThor. And Marilyn Schaffer, CEO of XTM. I'm this week's moderator, Barrington Miller, and this represents today's lineup. Our objective in running Tech Tuesday is twofold. First, it's for companies to gain visibility and traction on an accessible platform. The second is to inform capital markets participants and players and investors about the types of companies in the tech space while also providing new knowledge of what is happening in the transactions and payments arena. For you, the attendees, we do ask for you to share ideas, possible leads, funding, and feedback with our presenters. You may even have a potential strategic relationship. You can find their contact information in the profile box, or you can email www.thecse.com and shoot us a message. Some housekeeping matters. If the images aren't clear or incomplete, check your bandwidth, refresh your screen, call your IT department, or try a different platform as we're broadcasting on LinkedIn, AirMeet, and YouTube. This presentation is for information purposes only and is not a solicitation to make an investment in either shares or debt or buy and sell stock. If you are interested in the investor pitch, please contact the companies directly. Each company will have a 5-minute presentation, after which we will do the Q&A. Let's start off with Alexandre Décarie, President and Co-founder of FirstPayment. He was a member and investor with a proven track record in building businesses. He's skilled in operational management, strategic planning, team building, marketing, product development, negotiations, and budgeting. Recently, Alex was co-founder, CEO, and board member of Power Decor North America, that's DEKOR, a division of the publicly listed Dare Power Decor Home Company Limited. Without further ado, we turn it over to Alex.
Thank you, Barrington. It's a pleasure to be here today and to present our company to you and the CSE. So FirstPayment is a digital payments technology company that's in the business of acquiring merchants and allowing them to accept cryptocurrency and settle in dollars. So we're a startup, and we were recently co-founded by a team of payments professionals, digital currency experts, and a bunch of seasoned entrepreneurs, including myself. And our team has a depth of operating experience in payments and the payments industry. So our target market are merchants, point of sale and payment system hardware manufacturers, independent software vendors, and independent sales organizations. So we're actually partnering with industry leaders to integrate a best-in-class payment solution into our technology tech stack, which we will augment with proprietary intellectual property. FirstPayment has acquired a patent family consisting of 6 granted and 5 pending patents, comprising of a family of related patents regarding mobile payments and cryptocurrencies. We are currently privately owned and aiming to be listed on the CSE by Q3 2022. So we believe that we're at the point of inflection for cryptocurrency to be used as mass adoption for payments. We believe that merchants currently lack a seamless and trustworthy, secure solution to accept cryptocurrencies as payment. And we also know that the global market for payments is increasing and will be up to $11.8 trillion by 2028. We also know that 20% of US consumers currently own crypto. The rise of digital currencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and CBDCs are also providing a new channel for consumers to transact with merchants. A significant number of these consumers wish to mobilize their cryptocurrency assets. And until now, there isn't a reliable, cost-effective, or widely adopted payments option for current consumers to turn these assets into tangible goods. So our goal is to facilitate cryptocurrency acceptance, eliminate risk and volatility for the merchant, and open new markets for merchants. So how our product works. So we're actually launching our product, which is called MangoPay, which is our proprietary cryptocurrency payment solution, in the next 10 days. We're going to allow merchants the ability to accept multiple cryptocurrencies for payment, and we settle with them in fiat. So we're actually targeting merchants, point of sale hardware manufacturers, ISOs, and ISVs, initially in the US and then eventually in Canada. So we feature a downloadable app that integrates into a mobile device, a POS hardware, or e-commerce website via our APIs. And our revenue is generated by charging the merchant a transaction processing fee that is much less than traditional credit cards. So how our product works is very simple. So at the onset of the transaction, a consumer would walk into the merchant's store and decide to make a purchase. So they would enter the transaction value, a QR code would be generated with an invoice. The consumer would scan that invoice with their mobile wallet and authorize the transaction, and then the merchant would receive dollars from FirstPayment, and then the transaction would be completed. And that's our solution.
Thank you so much, Alex. I love the beauty and the simplicity of it, and I can see a lot of people adopting this.
Well, thank you, Barrington. We're trying to make things simple, and we feel that currently there are solutions that exist, but they're very complex, and they're built with a cryptocurrency lens to them. And we've taken a whole different approach: simplicity, ease of use, and from a payments lens. So that's why we feel that this is actually going to create the opportunity to, it's the point of inflection for mass adoption of cryptocurrency payments in the market.
I can't wait to delve into this for when we have our Q&A.
Awesome.
So thank you very much, Alex. Next up, we have Gary Ziegler. Gary is the founder and CEO of eThor and serves on its board of directors. Gary founded eThor in 2003 after recognizing an opportunity for integrating point of sale, also known as POS, which you'll hear in the presentation, systems with online ordering services for all verticals of retail. As CEO, Gary drives the overall direction and product strategy for eThor. He also maintains responsibility for establishing corporate partnerships and developing and implementing the branding, marketing, and sales functions of the company.
Thanks, Barrington. I'm Gary Ziegler. I'm the founder and CEO of eThor. We are a software company based in Calgary, Alberta, and we integrate commerce and payments with merchants' POS systems. So I'm sure everybody has noticed over the last couple of years when COVID hit, there's been some changing market forces where it's really increased the adoption rate of people ordering online through digital channels, but from local merchants and having it essentially delivered to their house, whether it's grocery or restaurants or other verticals as well. More and more people are ordering online from local merchants and having it delivered to their home. This has created a challenge for merchants as they look to integrate their in-store operations with online digital channels. An example of this might be an Uber Eats or a DoorDash or an Instacart, where they're trying to integrate their inventory or their menus or their pricing from their point of sale system into digital channels so that people can see what they have available to order with the proper pricing, and they can also insert those orders back into the point of sale system in the physical store. eThor has a US issued patent around POS integration, and that patent is the universal format or method that all of these different platforms are using today to integrate to POS. We originally filed this in 2010, and our patent goes until 2032. And again, it's the same method that all these different platforms are using today to both pull inventory, menus, and things like that into their digital channels, and then also, in some cases, insert orders back into the POS system as well. Our current product today is focused around integrating modern credit card payment terminals like you would see in a restaurant to the restaurant's point of sale system. We support Android-based terminals, and so it's for pay at table, but also pay at counter and so forth. And so we pull receipts from the POS system of the merchant into the device. We help facilitate the credit card payment at the table, and then we sync those payments back up with the merchant's POS system. We're now getting into other verticals as well. And with the growth of these online verticals and online platforms that are integrating restaurants and liquor stores and grocery stores with online platforms, we've now moved into that space as well. And we've been rapidly integrating with other vertical POS systems beyond restaurants. As I mentioned, there's been pretty significant growth in this area. The one that sticks out the most is U.S. online grocery revenue, which is expected to be north of $200 billion by 2025. We've also seen pretty dramatic growth of U.S. online restaurant revenue as well. Not quite as big as grocery, but still pretty significant, and it's going to be north of $40 billion by 2025. And then we're now starting to see online alcohol sales grow as well. Again, not quite as big as those other categories, but it is growing at a pretty significant pace. So we're positioned well to have a piece of this market. We have some new products coming out over the next 6 to 12 months that will help service this market and give us a piece of that growth that you've seen in those charts that I just showed.
Thank you so much for that, Gary. Now, this is the part of the program that we call the Inquisition, courtesy of Mark Francis, where we have both presenters come up to the stage, at least the digital stage. The biggest thing, the first thing I want to jump into is crypto and cryptocurrency, and the fears or the misconceptions, the lack of education, whatever you want to call it, in and around crypto. How are your companies easing that with your audience, easing that with the end consumer, or the merchants themselves, or whoever else is using that?
So insofar as our model, actually, that's the crux of our model, is that we're taking the risk and volatility of crypto away from the transaction completely. So that's the secret sauce we have on our end, that we allow the merchant to accept dollars for the cryptocurrency payments transaction. So there is no risk for the merchant, there is no risk for the consumer, and we have our secret sauce that actually takes care of the transaction in the back end live while the consumer wishes to transact in cryptocurrency.
Gary, what's your opinion on that?
We are not dealing with cryptocurrency at this time. It is something that we've been approached about from different companies wanting our merchants to accept cryptocurrency through our payment methods. It's not something that we have pursued at this time. So yeah, I think Alex is more the expert on that than I am.
Gary, one thing I noticed with your presentation is the amount of food and consumption that is being dealt with. I think that's just a natural instinct. But where do you see the next big sector, the next big chunk?
Historically, everybody's gone after restaurants, us included. There's been a lot of growth in online restaurant delivery and so forth because, for a long time, long before the internet, people were getting food delivered from restaurants, from your local pizza place or what have you. But really, in the last few years, and especially during COVID, we've seen a huge growth in that area. But we're now starting to see this extend out to other verticals like we talked about. So online grocery growth has just exploded. Obviously, people spend a lot more money every week and every month on their groceries than they do on restaurants. And so that explains the growth there. There's other verticals as well, liquor store delivery, even convenience stores, people ordering things from 7-Eleven or places like that. And I think we'll continue to see this move into other verticals as well. People will get tools delivered from Lowe's or Home Depot. People will get clothing delivered. More and more people are ordering from Amazon, but there's a lot of people that want to order from a local merchant that are, in their neighborhood, but they don't want to have to go pick it up. And so merging that digital world with the online brick and mortar world and the local businesses in your community, it's a huge undertaking, and that's essentially what our patent covers. And so, we think that we're perfectly positioned to take advantage of that from that perspective.
You brought up a name, and you said Lowe's, but I used to work in the lumber industry, and it was the Goliaths like Home Depot who would determine and who actually helped get rid of, or at least crush the mom and pop shops. When it comes to payments and when it comes to supporting local, can this happen again? For example, I noticed that Uber was present in 2 out of the 3 verticals, again, in your presentation. Will dealing with Uber lower prices for people that use Uber versus the mom and pop shops, or will it balance out? Do you see where I'm kind of going with this?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of discussion around that. If you look at some of these online platforms, they typically will take between 10% and 30% of the price of the online order. That sometimes leads to the merchant increasing their price accordingly. So if somebody places a $100 order and the fees are 10%, and so they're paying $10, they can increase their fees by the same 10%, so that cost is being passed on to the consumer. But the consumer in that situation is paying for the convenience of having somebody else deliver it for them. They don't have to get in their car, drive over there, go find it, and bring it home, right? Pay for gas and so forth. How the economics of that shake out over time, to be honest, it remains to be seen. Some of these platforms are getting into advertising and things like that as other ways to generate revenue. So if you look at some of these online platforms, they're not really making a lot of money off the actual delivery. Where they're starting to make money is in other areas like advertising and things like that. And so Amazon has gotten into this advertising space quite a bit. And if you look online, there's plenty of articles about Instacart and Uber and DoorDash and some of these companies getting into advertising as well.
Alex, you talked about the things that you are looking at acquiring. I'm sorry, I'm just jumping.
That's fine. Go ahead.
What do you look for when you want to acquire companies that have point of sale or merchants? The acquisition targets that you look for. What are, what's...
So we're looking at acquiring merchants, but not actually purchasing them. We want to sign them up to our services, right? So our goal is to acquire mainly big ticket merchants that, where the speed of transaction is less important. Maybe restaurants is not the key type of business model yet for cryptocurrency payments, just because of the speed of the transaction has to be done in a very efficient and quick way. Cryptocurrency transactions take a little bit more time than a traditional credit card payment. So we believe that bigger ticket items like cars, furniture, flooring, maybe big transactions at, let's say, Home Depot or Lowe's, where the speed of transaction is less important, would be our target customers initially.
Where does AI and machine learning fit into what both of you do?
So like I said, we're actually creating our proprietary tech stack, and AI will be a function of that, just not quite yet. So we're actually launching our proof of concept app in the next week or two. So we have our tech stack actually being built now. We just brought on a CTO about 2 weeks ago, and he's helping us do that. So he's a payments and cryptocurrency expert, and we're actually in the midst now of developing the 2.0 version of our product. And we will be using AI in that product to facilitate the transaction and speed it up as well.
Gary?
On our end, we're approaching close to $1 billion a year in transactions flowing through our system, and so there's an incredible amount of data flowing through our system, including shopping cart data and credit card payment data and things like that. We have done a little bit of work with machine learning to make sense of that data, but it's not a major focus of ours at this time. I think we're more focused on growth and putting more and more transactions through our system at this time.
So Barrington, if I may, we're actually going to be using AI for security, right? That's going to be the main part of the tech stack, is to ensure the validation and authorization of a transaction. So AI will be used for that.
Gen Z, the tech savvy generation, I believe that 31% of them are conducting or using, will be using these services. How do you find dealing with them? Do you see that trend continuing? And then the last question is going to be, what are some of the hurdles that you had to overcome in order to get your businesses off the ground? But let's start with the Gen Zers.
I mean, from our perspective, as society progresses and as the younger generation gets older and has more buying power, more and more they're going to use technology to transact, whether that's in store or online or what have you. And we definitely see trends where the younger generations are willing to pay a little bit extra for convenience if it makes their lives easier. Everybody's busy these days, and the world's gotten a little crazy on us, and so people are looking for ways to simplify their lives. And if they don't have to spend an hour going to the grocery store, but they can instead spend 5 or 10 minutes ordering food and have it dropped off on their doorstep, and they have to pay a little extra to do that, people are willing to do that, and that's shown in the growth in these industries.
So we see Gen Z as opening new markets for potential merchants that we're going to be acquiring. And we know that Gen Z, they're the main holders of cryptocurrency in the world. So we believe that Gen Z, as they acquire more crypto and more wealth, will want to mobilize these crypto assets and turn them into tangible goods. And that's our model. So we believe that it's also a marketing approach for the merchants that we're going to be acquiring in order to allow them to access this market and grow sales, basically.
And let's go on to the last question. What are some of the hurdles, or even maybe not just necessarily hurdles, but the advice that you would give the younger Alex and the younger Gary along the way of starting and getting your businesses off the ground?
So that's a great question. It's mainly regarding, hiring the best people. And we're in the midst of that now, being a startup. We've been operational now for about 6 months, and having the best people work with us is probably the most important and foundational aspects of growing a business. And I believe that it's the biggest challenge, but also the biggest opportunity. So not only hiring, but maintaining and training these people is our greatest opportunity right now.
Yeah, I would agree with Alex. Hiring is important. I also think that it's really important to focus. A lot of entrepreneurs, chase a lot of different ideas and so forth. And I think it's really important to focus on your core competencies and try to grow that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's easy to get scatterbrained being an entrepreneur, trying to do many things at all the same time. And what we're trying to do at FirstPayment is being very linearly focused on cryptocurrency payments and being the best at that.
Before I forget, because this is the Exchange for Entrepreneurs, would both of you be open to, receiving additional funding, or how are your businesses going as far as revenue generation, things like that? Even though you might just be a startup, but because we've had some success stories here on Tech Tuesday, and I know that there will be some investors who are curious about the opportunities to get into some of the businesses that you have.
Yeah, we've grown, even throughout COVID, and we focus on restaurants. You would think that would have had a major impact on our business, and it did. But even through that, we've continued to grow. We have 7 figures of revenue today, and we continue to grow each year. In terms of funding, we're not currently actively raising. However, it is something that we're starting to think about a bit. So definitely open to having conversations with some investors. And if anybody's interested in investing in eThor, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to talk to you.
So we're a startup, as I mentioned, and we're pre-revenue right now. We're very well funded. But like Gary and eThor, I think we're very open to discussing any opportunities with potential investors. And same here. If anyone wants to learn more about our business, please contact me directly.
Gary, Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Barrington. It was great.
No problem.
Nice to meet you, Gary.
Thanks, guys. You too, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Marilyn Schaffer is a serial entrepreneur building her reputation by building the businesses and reputations of others. She founded Neo Communications in the early 2000s which was later acquired by Omnicom, trading on NYSE OMC. She stayed on there until she earned 100% of her earnout, then moved on to fund and start other ventures. Then she funded XTM Inc. She began her entry into the payment space in 2017 and started marketing XTM's first payment product, Today, trademarked, in 2019. Without further ado, we welcome Marilyn Schaffer of XTM.
Thanks, Barrington. I'm happy to be here. Tell you a little bit about XTM, the condensed version. XTM is in the EWA and neobanking space, and you might be thinking, isn't everyone? It certainly is a growing space, but the difference is we've gone at it specifically through the hospitality industry. So our mission is to be able to complement the specific and unique needs of the hospitality industry through our neobanking and our EWA solution. Our solution consists of an app, a prepaid card, a Visa, a MasterCard. In the US, we call it a debit card, and a mobile wallet that enables us to pay staff the same day that they worked. So, it's been said that one of the earliest applications of earned wage access is hospitality, because back in the day, you would work your shift. Maybe you were in university, or maybe you're a career waiter or waitress, and you work your shift and you get cash that day for the day that you worked. And then cash became out of our ecosystem. And as a result, people were waiting longer and longer to get paid. What we've done is we've come into the industry and we've been able to digitize and remove cash from the ecosystem and replace it with a very slick, seamless neobanking platform that pays people not only their gratuities, but now also their earnings the same day. And what we've done to add on to that is a number of other features that I'll talk about in a sec that help to complement the whole ecosystem of the hospitality industry. Next slide, please. There's a huge labor shortage in Canada and also in the US. They're talking about it being one of the main reasons why the comeback is delayed and protracted. And so why? Because, there's a number of reasons. The pandemic changed a lot of working habits, but also the reality is people are looking for immediate gratification. And so we're able to offer that, and we're able to help solve that issue in the hospitality space with this innovation, with this disruptive way of paying people same day. And I'm happy to say over the next 2 slides that we have managed to attract the majority of restaurant groups in Canada are on our platform. You will recognize some of these names. I will call out a couple of them. MLSE, for example, very innovative group who's converting all their stadiums for concerts, for sports, gaming, all of those kinds of things into a cashless experience. And we've been able to support them with our platform. We talked about an ecosystem, and I think I'm going to just spend a minute talking about this. Hospitality is one of the areas where we go to have a fabulous experience, a great meal, great ambiance. 77% of restaurants fail within their first year of operations because they're not operators. They're artists, they're creators, they're hospitality gurus, but operators maybe not, they might not be as strong at. So what we've really come to the market with is a way to help for as little money as possible. So our gratuity solution is free to the restaurant. We're now offering a tip pool calculator, which sounds maybe simple, but it's a very complex calculation that goes into paying out staff and allocating that $20 that you left me because I was your server. I may not get all $20. That might be dispersed through the organization, back of the house. Maybe the hostess gets some, the bartender gets a percentage. It's a legal transaction. So it's very important that it's done properly, correctly, and consistently. We have been able to solve that with a tip pooling calculator. And we're also now offering rewards, cashback rewards to the users who are accumulating money in their mobile wallet. And we want to be able to compete with traditional banking. We want them to use that, trust that, and see it as a real complement to their lifestyle. So we continue to add features to this whole restaurant technology ecosystem that includes now payroll, microcredit, overdraft, all of these features that fill a need for not only the staff, but also the restaurant operator, and helps them to eliminate the need to hire resources for non-revenue producing roles. So that's XTM in a box.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate your listing on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Now, there's one common theme with all our presenters, and that is the hospitality industry. That is, in particular, the restaurants. Why is XTM focusing in on that area as opposed to other areas? And the second part of that question, what would you say the next sector or the next industry that XTM would look at for payments?
We focused on hospitality because we saw that there was something broken in there. There's so much cash floating through their ecosystem that is just not current. It's not a current and modern way to manage your finances. And to just give you a bit of a juxtaposition, we're moving about $1.5 million a day right now, just in gratuities. Imagine when that was cash. There's just not even that much. I don't know if you've ever tried to go and take when I say substantial, I'm talking even $5,000 cash out of the bank. They don't have it. You have to order it and you have to wait a couple of days. So you can imagine for a restaurant how complex that was for them to have to go to the bank, withdraw large sums of cash, take the vulnerability and the liability of bringing that cash back into their restaurant, putting in a safe, taking it out of the safe, stuffing envelopes. It's antiquated. It was so yesterday. And we saw this is a low-hanging fruit. We've got the platform. We're the same as any other neobank out there, but what a great way to acquire customers for a very low cost of acquisition. Because when we convert a restaurant, we convert all their staff at the same time. So that's why we focused on hospitality. And you asked about other verticals. Even within the hospitality space, there are so many ancillary verticals. If you think about hotels and you think about golf courses and the people that drive the linens to the restaurant to drop those linens off that we so enjoy, this white crisp linen under our plates at a restaurant, all of that supply chain is part of fulfilling the value proposition of a hospitality entity. And we're looking at providing payment and accounting solutions for all of those ancillary contributors. And what we see happening as the next step is new markets, European markets. I have a call right after this one with London, and the UK is looking at ways to really get hospitality back up to speed after this shutdown, that we've had over the past couple of years. So we see other markets, and then of course other verticals.
What I love about this and this entire subject is during COVID, people have talked about the Great Resignation and everybody's left, but they're not talking about the great hiring. And it's the same industries. The biggest industries that lost during COVID were restaurants and hotels. the biggest hiring and places that can't get people are restaurants and hotels. So you've sort of, no one's talking about that second part. So it's that's really, really good. Generation Z, they seem to be the ones who are really, really taking to this with mobile wallets. And the next question is going to be about crypto and AI. But do you see this trend continuing? Right now, they're at 31%. I believe that Generation Z uses mobile wallets and has crypto assets. Do you see this trend continuing, or do you see it sort of blending and mellowing out as we do the great return?
Barrington, I see it continuing. There's no going back. This generation, the Gen Zs, are shaping our future. And they are disruptive in the way they're moving forward in their lives. Many of them object to credit. They don't love credit. They like spending the money that they have. They like knowing they have the money they have. They're adverse to risk. So all of these things are, I believe, shaping our future, and we're studying that very carefully and making sure that we have a sticky product that fulfills their needs, helps the business, and helps the user at the same time. And as it relates to crypto, of course, crypto is hugely popular, and we have a solution for crypto. I'll tell you where our blocker is. The banks are still not in love with crypto, and we're a money services business, but we need an issuing bank to be our sponsor. And so we've had some issues with that. But having said that, there are a couple of banks in Canada now who are very modern and very ambitious about crypto. And we're looking forward to being able to take our solution, which exists. We have a solution that enables you to convert crypto right at the point of sale into fiat in order to make up a purchase. So to really give the buying power of crypto. So we're looking forward to putting that into play.
How much do you use AI and machine learning for these processes, for developing trends, for seeing what's working and what isn't? Or is that something that's being developed more on the horizon?
I would say it's more on the horizon. Our engineering team is growing. We have a stand-up meeting every single day for about 5 minutes. We've been doing it since we started working remotely 2 years ago. And I'm astounded at how quickly our company is growing. And most of them are engineers. So there's a lot more sophistication coming into our processes, and AI and machine learning is definitely something that they're looking at putting into play in a much more sophisticated way.
Question I should have asked, it's more of a clarification of a definition. I should have asked this in the beginning, but for sometimes we have new members of the audience. What is neo-banking? What is that? Just a definition that you use for neo.
So it's the non-traditional way of banking, and the way our parents were used to banking is walking into a branch and going to a teller, making withdrawals, writing checks. All of that has changed. So the neobank doesn't have bricks and mortar. A neobank is a virtual cloud-based banking system that enables you to manage your finances with all empowered by you and all in the cloud.
Now, we've talked a little bit about in other shows and as well with the other guests, we've talked about security and how secure this system is. That is a big concern. There's, you hear about hacking and funds being shifted digitally and all of those things. Can you tell us a little bit about XTM's security to alleviate these fears?
Well, our chief technology officer would certainly be one that could dive deep into this kind of response. But I will tell you that, of course, we have to meet all kinds of different standards to be able to be entrusted with people's money. And so we not only meet those objectives, we seek to exceed them. So we spend a lot of money every month. We moved everything to AWS. we use Amazon as our servers and our data storage destination, and there's a lot of redundancy and security built in to those systems, and that's the only way that we are able to do what we do.
What are and what have been the biggest hurdles for you as a CEO and for XTM entering this and being in this neobanking industry?
That's a great question. I would say so far, for the most part, Canada has been smooth sailing. We set out to do something and we did it and we dominated it, and we're super happy about that. The US is daunting. And to be able to replicate what we do in Canada in the US took hundreds of thousands of dollars and also thousands of hours to be able to meet compliance obligations and to be able to be approved by an issuing bank and to do everything that we do in a new country. So that's been a little daunting. We're there now, and now we're rolling out, and finding the proper, robust and wholesome management team has been, we've had our ups and downs, but I'm happy to say that we're there now. We've got really good pillars in the US and in Canada to be able to support the growth that we're looking for. But, that part has had its bumps for sure.
Well, Marilyn, on behalf of the Canadian Securities Exchange, I just want to say thank you for gracing us with your presence on Tech Tuesday. You're always welcome. If you're interested in Marilyn Schaffer and her company, XTM, you can check out previous Tech Tuesday episodes as well. Visit their company profile page on www.thecsc.com under the symbol XTM. Thank you very much, Marilyn.
Thanks, Barrington.
Thank you to our presenters today, Alexandre Décarie, President of FirstPayment Inc., Gary Ziegler, Founder and CEO of eThor, and Marilyn Schaffer, CEO of XTM. Thank you to all the people who have worked behind the scenes, Anil Mall, James Black, and Melissa Robertson, and of course, the founder and creator of Tech Tuesday, Mr. Mark Francis. Lastly, thank you to our attendees for taking a slice out of your day to spend time with us and support the companies on Tech Tuesday. Go to their websites, learn more about them and their projects. If you have a lead for them, please connect. Next Tuesday, we'll be back with our public company showcase, which may feature a private company here and there. You won't want to miss it. Please don't forget to subscribe, click, like on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. May you have continued success in your business, and we will see you next week.